live channel episode, and today is the 21st of April 2021. It is the Queen's 95th birthday, and I have a few other stories to go through as well, including Prince Harry has returned to LA and Prince Andrew has had a security scare at Royal Lodge, Windsor, amongst a few other stories too. So as always, this is a live chat, so I'll be trying to answer as many viewer comments and questions as I possibly can throughout this chat. So what I want to do to start with is talk about the Queen's 95th birthday, and we'll get into why it has been described in the press as her most lonely birthday ever. But before we go into that, I think we should actually read a little bit about the Queen's birth herself. So, Queen Elizabeth was obviously born a princess, and she was known as Elizabeth Alexandra Mary Windsor, and she was born at 2:40 British time on the 21st of April 1926 during the reign of her paternal grandfather, King George V. Her father, the Duke of York, later King George VI, was the second son of the king. Therefore, she was never expected to be queen. She was, however, born a princess. Her mother, the Duchess of York, who later became Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, was the youngest daughter of a Scottish aristocrat. And of course, Elizabeth was delivered by caesarean section at her maternal grandfather's house, 17 Bruton Street, Mayfair. So the Queen was born at home in just kind of a big London townhouse, which is no longer there anymore. It has actually been demolished. So the Queen was not born in a palace, not like some of the other royals, and of course modern royals are often born in hospitals these days. Hello to everyone who has just joined the live chat. So to mark Queen Elizabeth's birthday, there has been a few things said, I suppose is the easiest way to put it. Let me just see if I can find, I did have a window open and yeah, there we go. It's still there. So the royal family obviously is still in a period of mourning, and there is an official 2-week mourning period where the Queen will still be wearing black. The official UK period of mourning did in fact end on the day of the funeral. So newsreaders in the UK, for example, are now no longer wearing black. Flags do not have to be flown at half-mast as a mark of respect. So, but the royal family privately is still in official mourning. So, today the royal family released via their social medias, and I'm reading from Twitter, a little message. So they said, today is the Queen's 95th birthday. Her Majesty was born on the 21st of April 1926 at 17 Bruton Street in London, the first child of the Duke and Duchess of York as they were then. This year, the Queen remains at Windsor Castle during a period of royal mourning following the death of the Duke of Edinburgh. Of course, you know, the Queen is not going to be wanting a birthday this year in terms of celebration because although it's an amazing feat getting to 95 yourself, she must have so much on her mind. But the Queen, as Sophie Wessex said just a few weeks ago, she said that the Queen was often thinking about other people, and there is a message that has been released officially. So the Queen's message is to the people across the world who have sent tributes and messages of condolence following the death of the Duke of Edinburgh. She says, and this is a personal message from the Queen, I have, on the occasion of my 95th birthday today, received many messages of good wishes, which I very much appreciate. While as a family we are in a period of great sadness, it has been a comfort to us all to see and to hear the tributes paid to my husband, from those within the United Kingdom, the Commonwealth, and around the world. So this is a message not just to the people of the UK, it's to the people of the world. It's a global message of thanks for all of the very kind words and tributes that have been received and put out towards the Duke of Edinburgh. Again, like I said, this is an example of the Queen putting others first. She's thinking about other people. She's thanking other people at a time when she's probably going through a lot of kind of real mixed emotions. And of course, with all the social distancing that has to go on at the moment, people that are not in her bubble, they can't just walk up to her family and give her a big hug. You can meet now kind of socially outside as long as you still remain socially distanced. But this is not the same kind of birthday that you would typically have, that the Queen would typically have. It is Easter. Well, no, it's not Easter at the moment, that's gone. But the Easter period for the royal family does kind of last. It is kind of extended. And the Queen, this time of year for her birthday, would typically have lots of family around her, which she cannot have this year. She normally has kind of, I suppose, a bit of an Easter court that goes on. Lots of family, lots of dinners, kind of a bit of an extended period. Of course, the Queen is a deeply religious woman, and she kind of marks these occasions, and her birthday obviously falls in April, not too far away from the main Easter event. By the way, I haven't eaten all of my Easter eggs yet. Do you have some Easter eggs left? I have my Easter bunny still left. Anyway, this is not a typical usual birthday. So although she has those people around her in her bubble, HM bubble, I think, as it is known, including aides such as Angela Kelly, who are very extremely close to the Queen, it's not the same as normal years. And of course, last year, she celebrated her birthday in lockdown. She had the Duke of Edinburgh. This year, she does not. Family is said to be rallying around. There is supposedly a kind of rota that has been kind of drawn up, and members of the family are going to visit every day. But the Queen is not one to be kept down. She has still kind of had her eye on the game. And also for her own mental health, she has been looking after herself because she's carried on doing the things that she enjoys doing, going out walking, and especially now that she has 2 new puppies, which I'm really, really pleased and happy that she has. So today, on her birthday, she was seen driving. She was driving her car in Windsor Great Park, where she was, well, it's expected that she was taking her dogs to go for a walk, which is what she typically does. So the Queen is trying to carry on as normal. At least we know that she is taking care of herself. And we do have a little bit of updated information about the dogs. So back in February, she reportedly bought, or had bought for her, 2 new puppies, and she named them Mick, spelt M-U-I-C-K. Muick, if you like, or Mick, is a lake up at Balmoral, and the other one is Fergus, which is a family name. So Mick and Fergus are the 2 dogs, and people at the time thought that perhaps it was, myself included, thought that maybe it was a gift from the Duke of Edinburgh. But no, it turns out that actually, we think it's actually a gift from Prince Andrew. So lots of newspapers and sources are saying it was a gift from Andrew to keep his mother company. And I do have a little cute, adorable picture of the puppies. So if you just take a look at those puppies, you can see they are absolutely adorable. This is a photograph that was listed on the website in which they were listed as being for sale. So they are absolutely adorable, gorgeous puppies, and I'm sure they are keeping the Queen on her toes, keeping her busy, and also very much looking after the Queen's own mental health, I think. So yes, it's reported, well, in fact it says it has emerged, so I think there may have been some confirmation on this, although I haven't found an official source that has confirmed it. But it's saying it's now emerged that the puppies were bought by Prince Andrew in a bid to cheer the Queen up. And to be honest, I don't really care who bought them. I'm just really happy that the Queen actually has a bit of a focus outside of what's been going on, just to keep her going, to be quite honest. So I'm really happy. If it was Prince Andrew, then brilliant. I think that's a really good idea. And I think it couldn't have come at a better time. I think the family may have known that something, that Philip's health at that time was probably not likely to recover. Most people are now kind of thinking that Prince Philip, when he left hospital, we all saw those photographs where he didn't look very well at all. He'd lost a lot of weight. People are thinking now that he just wanted to go home. And it was more kind of palliative care, so looking after him, making sure he was comfortable, making sure he was not in pain, so that he could pass away, if you want, for want of a better word or phrase. He wanted to pass away at home in the comfort, privacy, surrounded by the Queen, in his own bed, and that's the way that he wanted to pass. So people are thinking it was more palliative care. So like I say, I don't care who bought the dogs, I'm just really, really glad that they did actually, that the Queen has got these dogs. So I just thought I would kind of talk about that to begin with. I don't think I've really got anything else to say about the Queen's birthday, except that she has spent it privately, walking her dogs, going for a drive, enjoying the open air, possibly seeing other family members, although it has to be socially distanced. And of course, like I said, there is this supposedly rota where, different members of the family, including Princess Eugenie, are going to see the Queen to make sure that she has at least some visitors every single day. So I'm really, really glad that the family are rallying around, as you would expect any other, normal family to do. Right, I am also, Princess Anne has been out today as well, but I want to talk for a moment about the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, who have been attending an engagement today. It is believed to be a long-standing engagement, and the royal family have said that they would honour some engagements that they feel are right to do during this period of mourning. So, today, the Duke and Duchess have visited East Ham Air Cadets, which supports air cadets to gain skills and qualifications across a variety of different disciplines before speaking to a number of the young people who are preparing for their Duke of Edinburgh Awards. So you can see that they are focusing on some of Prince Philip's interests, which of course are aviation. Prince Philip was a huge flyer. He loved to fly. That was one of the places where he said he was most happy in his life, is when he was in the air flying. And of course, his award scheme, which he founded, the Duke of Edinburgh Awards. So the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge are out today kind of honouring the, two big, big loves of Prince Philip's life, of his working life. So there are some photographs. Now, I will make a video on this a little bit later to go out. But in 2015, the Duke of Edinburgh passed his Air Cadets military patronage to the Duchess of Cambridge, who became Honorary Air Commandant. And of course, today, paying tribute to His Royal Highness, the Duke of Edinburgh, who served as Air Commodore-in-Chief of the Air Cadets for 63 years. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge paid a visit. They said, "I'm glad the united voice..." Oh no, that's something different entirely. But no, it's just really, really brilliant, I think, that the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge have actually gone out today to really show their support for two of the Duke's passions. Now, the one thing I did just start to read, which I'm going to go back and read now, there has been a lot of talk in the UK about football, our national game, the national love. And the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge have released, well, more Prince William than Kate. But anyway, Prince William has pretty much released a statement about what's going on, because there is talk of forming a big Super League. I'm not a big football fan, so I don't really know all the ins and outs about it, but I do know it's a really, really big deal. So there has been a statement released, well, a tweet in the last hour from Prince William saying, "I'm glad the united voice of football fans has been heard and listened to. It is now really important that we use this moment to secure the future health of the game at all levels. As president of the Football Association, I'm committed to playing my part in that work." And it's signed with a W. So William is very firmly wading in in his capacity as president of the FA to talk openly about this big Super League and the impact it might have on our national game. Thank you so much to Betsy Herman, who has donated $2. Thank you so much. Your support really does mean, it just means the world to me. So thank you so much. As I said earlier, Princess Anne has also been out today, and I don't know where I saw it, but she has been out today, and oh, here it is. I found it. I've got so many windows open, seriously. The Princess Royal has visited Gloucester Hospital to thank staff for their hard work over the last year. Her Royal Highness opened a new commemorative garden which has been dedicated to loved ones lost to the pandemic and contains hundreds of wire dandelions in memory of each patient. And if you want to see a quick picture of the wire dandelion, which looks really beautiful, and the Princess Royal, who is now wearing red, so she is no longer wearing kind of official mourning colours, although I'm sure the Queen is still doing that. But yeah, there you go. So there is Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, and a wire dandelion. Just in case you needed to know what a wire dandelion looked like, you now do. So let me just close down some windows because I think I've got too many open and I keep going to read different things and I don't want to. So the next bit of news today, of course, relating back to the Queen's 95th birthday. People were wondering what was going to happen with Prince Harry. Was he going to stay for the birthday? And I remember saying in yesterday's live chat video that I thought it was likely, seeing as he hadn't gone back yet, that he would be staying for the Queen's 95th birthday. However, we can all be wrong. And it turns out that Prince Harry did actually return to LA yesterday. So I'm going to read a little bit of information. Also, sources close to the Prince have revealed to one of Prince Harry and Meghan's favoured reporters certain details about his time here in the UK. So I'm going to read a little bit and stop and talk and discuss. So Prince Harry has returned safely to his home in Montecito, California, after attending the funeral of Prince Philip. The Duke of Sussex quietly arrived back on the West Coast on the 20th of April, yesterday, following 9 days in the UK to join family as they honoured the life of the late Duke of Edinburgh and supported the Queen. So during his time in England, the Prince was based, as we know, at Frogmore Cottage, where he was able to see a number of family members, including Princesses Eugenie and her newborn son, August. After a 5-day isolation period, of course, obviously this is in conjunction with the UK's COVID-19 government guidelines. Last Saturday's funeral, which took place in St George's Chapel in Windsor, was the first time Harry had come face to face with family members since officially stepping back from his royal role in March. This is true, although we think that they have occasionally spoken on the phone at certain points, or of course maybe had video Zoom calls for birthday occasions, that kind of thing. This is the first time, the funeral was the first time that Harry had been face to face with his family. And it says, but though conversations with his father, Prince Charles, and brother William did take place following the April the 17th service, sources have said that reports of peace talks and family summits have been wide off the mark. So this is referring to talks of Prince Charles and Prince William kind of getting together, deciding the fate of the monarchy. Those reports have been doing the rounds. This report, sources close to Harry have been saying that that's not true, that they are wide off the mark. So it's not saying that they're completely untrue, but just wide off the mark. And as we know from the past, reporters in the UK have had certain elements of information, spun a story, but kind of been based on truth, but then been wide off the mark. So I think there may have been some truth, but we don't know exactly the extent of the truth. So sources have said, and this is in quotes, this trip was to honour the life of his grandfather and support his grandmother and relatives. It was very much a family-focused period of time. Saturday broke the ice for future conversations, but outstanding issues have not been addressed at any great length. The family simply put their issues to one side to focus on what matters. So, yes, I agree. The trip was most definitely to focus on the life and pay respects to his grandfather and support his grandmother. Completely agree with that. I think anyone could kind of see that that's why Harry was there. Would Harry have been back in the UK at this time had it not been for his grandfather's funeral? During the current coronavirus pandemic, I doubt very much so. There wouldn't have been a reason for him to come back. So yes, it was a very family-focused period of time. And like I said earlier, it would have been the first time that they would have spoken together in person. We all saw at the funeral where Catherine stepped away and William and Harry had a little bit of a chat. Of course, behind their masks, so there was no lip readers. There were no lips to read. Okay, so if you've been listening to lip readers, there were no lips to read. You couldn't see them. So we don't know what they spoke about, but we know that at least some ice must have been broken. That was kind of clear, I think, for everyone to see. The bit that's interesting is that any outstanding issues, of course, relating to Harry stepping back from being a full-time working royal, the reasons why he says during the Oprah interview he stepped back, some of the claims and revelations that were revealed, I would imagine are classed as outstanding issues. They have not been addressed at great length. So we think that they were all being cordial for the funeral, literally just put issues aside to get on and support the Queen and grieve, and personally grieve for the Duke of Edinburgh. There were reports that Harry wrote a deeply personal letter to his father before the funeral. This is apparently also false. This is coming from sources close to Prince Harry. The source adds Prince Charles has been staying at his Welsh retreat, which is true. He has been staying there, which is 185 miles away from Windsor, and he's been staying there on his own since Sunday. Now, it's not known whether or not Camilla will join him at some point. The Duchess of Cornwall has been kind of attending her own kind of events, things that she's honouring, I suppose, things that were in her diary, and I nearly fell off my chair. That'll teach me to lean over. And I think Charles just wanted a quiet period of reflection. He could have gone to Highgrove, he could have gone up to Balmoral, he could have gone to Sandringham. I think he chose Wales. Now, this is the I think it's 180 something acre estate or something of that size. I think they've had it since 2007. It's a nice big whitewashed cottage, and he stays there typically with Camilla about 2 weeks in the year, not this period, but he does spend about 2 weeks there. It's a Welsh bolt hole, and I think it just has the isolation, and I think he just wanted to be by himself to quietly contemplate the enormity of what's happened. And for Prince Charles, the enormity is that he is now the male head of the family. There is no other senior royal that's kind of above him, either in age or rank. So I think the enormity of the situation is kind of hitting Prince Charles. We all saw how emotional he was at the funeral. I think he just wanted quiet, peaceful contemplation. He likes to be, hiking and, with his stick, going out there and just being at one with nature. I think his Welsh bolt hole affords him that luxury. I'm sure probably Camilla might come and join him at some point, or he might obviously leave and go back to be with Camilla. We don't know their own personal plans, and of course everybody grieves in different ways. Some people like to be surrounded by people, some people like to be alone with their thoughts. It seems like Charles perhaps is the latter. So yeah, I imagine he's been getting a little bit of kind of a mental health break from the whole situation, and this kind of big realization that his parents are not going to last forever. He's now lost his father. His mother, despite being a queen that's lived for 95 years, is not immortal. She is a mortal being, and eventually he will be king. And I think this has kind of made him realize that actually he is almost a step closer to the throne, and I think that is a big enormous thing. He's had all these years to get used to the idea of, being king. He's been Prince of Wales. He's the longest serving Prince of Wales ever. So it shouldn't come as a shock, but I think sometimes you kind of can put things to the back of your head. And I think the death of his father will have brought everything forward about actually, the fragility of life, and the fact that it can be here one moment and then it's gone the next, and your position can change within the family. So I think it is most definitely a big, huge period of reflection for the prince. There are also reports from the same source that Harry had met with the Queen privately on at least 2 occasions during his time in the country. Now, of course, he was supposed to be in isolation, so I don't know how true that is. If he was sticking to coronavirus kind of rules and regulations, I don't know. But anyway, the report says he met her on at least 2 occasions. The love and respect he has for his grandmother will always be unwavering, a source previously said. Now, this kind of leaves the question, what's going to happen for the unveiling of the Diana statue, which was kind of going to happen later on in the summer of this year. The statue has been made. We don't know what the design is. It was commissioned for her 20th anniversary by William and Harry jointly. It is very, very much a joint project, and of course both of them are going to want to be there to unveil the statue. Is this year the right year for the unveiling? The thing is, we've waited so long for this statue to be unveiled. I want it to be right, and I think probably William and Harry want it to be right too, and I think perhaps it would be better if both of them were on better terms. They could, of course, choose to do exactly what they did at the funeral, put their personal feelings aside, put on a show of unity for the occasion. But I kind of think that maybe this year might be the wrong year to do it. It wouldn't bother me if it was delayed by another year. If it was pushed back to next summer, we've waited all this time, we can wait a little bit more time. I mean, I'm desperate to see the statue, but if it means that things can be done right, if it means that relationships can be improved a little bit over that time, if it means that more people, crowds of people can come together that don't have to socially distance to see the unveiling of the statue, I would be quite happy with that. So we don't know. I mean, it's still scheduled to go ahead, but who knows? We really don't know. We really don't know. So we'll have to wait and see what goes on. Right, I think that's all of my royal stories completed. So have you got any questions about anything that I've mentioned today? Have you got anything that you'd like me to speak about before I go? Oh, Sue has donated $950. Thank you so much, Sue. 95 years of a wonderful monarch, you say. Indeed. And like I said, this is probably the most saddest, loneliest, empty birthday that she's had, but she has her dogs, she does have a family, just not all there together, and of course she doesn't have Philip either. Gina says, what is the current relationship status between Her Majesty the Queen and Prince Harry? Well, I've spoken at length about all of which we know. What we know is that apparently he's met her twice in private, and of course we don't know the details of any conversations that were said. Leanne says, Prince Philip would have said, get on with it. He most certainly would. Jeanette says, I agree that the statue should be postponed until next year. I think it's probably the best. Carolina says, are you an American? Girl. Nancy says, have you received my Christmas package? I haven't been to the P.O. box. Like I said, we have only really just in the last week come out of a lockdown where non-essential things have been shut. So I will be going, but no, I haven't been for months because everything's been very restricted here in the UK. Deb says, love the brooch of the Queen on your jacket. Can we see it closer? You can indeed. There we go. It's kind of a little bit like There you go. Can you see it? It's the Queen. And I've got it on a sash with a nice kind of military black style jacket today. Amy says, I send you something and it says you should be getting it around the 29th. Thank you so much. I will be looking out for it. And of course, if you have enjoyed this live chat, please hit the button. Let me just see. Fran says, hello, can you tell me the significance of whoever has the title Duke of Edinburgh? Is it a raise in pay or more duties or more land? No, none of things at all. So a lot of very old aristocratic titles in the UK, such as, you know, the Duke of Westminster, and a lot of the old ones do come with land and estates that generate money. The royal ducal titles do not come with any land. The only ones that come with land are the Duchy of Lancaster, which the Queen has, and the Duchy of Cornwall, which the Prince of Wales has. Any other, you know, the Dukedom of Cambridge or the Earldom of Wessex, none of those come with any land or money or responsibilities attached to them. So no, there is no promotion. It's not higher. For example, the Dukedom of Edinburgh is not higher than the Dukedom of Cambridge. A dukedom is a dukedom. They are on the same level. A dukedom is a dukedom is a dukedom. The only difference is if it's a royal dukedom, you have a HRH in front of your name. But other than that, a dukedom is pretty much a dukedom. So what was the second bit of your question? Prince Charles has the Dukedom of Edinburgh now. Because Prince Charles is the eldest child, he inherits the Dukedom of Edinburgh. So really, it just merges in with all of his other titles. Now, Prince Charles has his own titles, as well as all of Prince Philip's titles as well. So one doesn't supersede the other. Prince Charles is still known as the Prince of Wales. That is what he will be known as going forwards. It just means that when Charles is king, all of those titles will merge with the crown and can be redistributed to other people, other family members. And of course, it has been pre-arranged with the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh and Charles that when Charles is king, once the Dukedom of Edinburgh has been remerged with the crown, it will be re-gifted or re-given in a new creation to the current Earl of Wessex, of course, Prince Edward. So Prince Edward will be the Duke of Edinburgh when the Queen passes away. I hope I've explained that. I tried to do it as simply as I possibly can, because I do know that titles can be quite complicated. Can be quite a complicated issue. Nancy says, here in the US on our news said a lip reader read their lips when their masks were off. Well, there wasn't a great deal of time when their masks were off, because they wore them in the church, and then I think they were pretty much wearing them on the way out. I will go back and check the footage, but I don't think they took the masks off as they were leaving the church, because you have to have them on. And then as they were walking up the hill, they had them on. So I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure where it is that you saw that, but I will take a look. I will take a look and see. I certainly didn't see them with their masks off, I don't think. Lauren says, I do feel we may see more of the younger royals a lot more now. I hope so. Let's have a look. Sarah says, what happens when Prince Andrew dies? Because his daughters are female, I know it's a very fair and a very archaic rule, but the Dukedom of York will revert back to the crown, again to be redistributed in a new creation. Probably the next Duke of York will be Prince Louis, I would imagine. And it's probably expected that Princess Charlotte will be the next Princess Royal. Of course, to be the Princess Royal, the current Princess Royal will have to have passed away. Sue says, William's mask was off very quickly. Well, I didn't see that, so I'm going to have to go back and have a look. Lady says, you have in your title... Oh, yes, this is the security scale. I totally forgot about it. Bear with. because there's quite a bit of a story on it. There's been so much news to talk about today. Let me just get all the details up. So, right, I'm bringing it up now. Bear with. So, sorry, lots of windows. Basically, hang on, I'm closing this up. I'm going to open a different one again. Okay. Right, it's coming up. So, there was a security scare at Windsor. And the reason why I've opened up a new window is because I don't want to lose out any of these details, because it is quite incredible what happened. So, apparently, a 44-year-old woman was claiming to be engaged to the Duke of York, was let into his official Windsor residence by security guards. It has been revealed. So security officers were so taken in by the Spanish national's polished appearance, they even paid her cab fare before waving her into the grounds of Royal Lodge in Windsor Great Park at 11 a.m. on Monday. The woman has now been sectioned under the 1984 Mental Health Act and spent 20 minutes wandering the grounds before heading inside the Royal Lodge to ask a member of staff where the Duke was. Police were called and she was held in the lobby after she told staff members that she was engaged to Prince Andrew. Her name was Irene Windsor and she lived there with the Duke. You couldn't make it up, seriously. In the woman's handbag, they found maps of Royal Lodge and other royal family residences, alongside a self-defense key ring in the shape of a cat that featured two sharp prongs. She was originally arrested on suspicion of burglary before being sectioned, and now a security review has been launched. Prince Andrew's, of course, his police protection was scaled back last year as part of a cost-cutting measure as he withdrew from royal duties because of, obviously, the Jeffrey Epstein scandal, which is currently still ongoing. He still has met the police personal protection, but his officers are no longer routinely armed. Private security at Royal Lodge, which of course Andrew shares with Sarah, is provided by the Privy Purse, which is the Queen's private income. So the Queen is paying for private security at Royal Lodge. It is understood the intruder flew into the UK from Spain on Saturday, the day of Prince Philip's funeral, and despite security forces being on high alert for the funeral, the woman was allowed through the front gate of Royal Lodge, apparently without being asked to show any proof of ID. She claimed to have a lunch appointment with the Duke and demanded security officers pay her cab fare, which they paid. A source said she was apparently very smartly dressed in a suit, trousers, a yellow blouse, a peach jacket, and had her hair done up and full makeup on. She cut quite a glamorous figure, apparently, and the guards were completely taken in by her. The woman demanded they pay the cab, which they did, and they pointed her in the direction of Royal Lodge. Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of incredible. Sources said Prince Andrew was home at the time of the intrusion, but it is not known if he was aware of it at the time it happened. A spokesperson for Thames Valley Police said Thames Valley Police were called to Royal Lodge at Windsor Great Park on Monday morning to reports of a female trespasser. So Thames Valley Police has said that this is true. The woman, aged 44, was intercepted and arrested. She was subsequently de-arrested and has been sectioned under Section 136 of the Mental Health Act. The investigation into the incident continues, but there was no risk to any individual on this site. Due to the female being sectioned, we will not be commenting further at this time, and Buckingham Palace has officially declined to comment. So yes, that was quite a big scandal. I can't believe that the security guards just waved her through. Just on the fact that, in fact, actually, the most interesting part of this, to be perfectly honest, is that the security guards were taken in by the claim that that she was engaged to Prince Andrew. I mean, everyone pretty much knows that Andrew and Sarah are kind of together. So would they not question, perhaps, that someone saying that she is engaged to Prince Andrew might be a little bit off colour? Or perhaps it's not without the realm of possibility that Andrew could have been engaged to somebody else. I don't know. The mind completely boggles. It does seem a little bit strange. Let's have a look. Little Annie says, well, so much for self-isolation on coming into the country. Apparently you can still travel if it's work-related. So perhaps she got in by lying and saying that her trip was work-related. Amy says, do Lady Louise and James Viscount Severn become Prince and Princess when Edward becomes Duke? No. Lady Louise and James Viscount Severn, Edward and Sophie's children, are entitled to be Prince and Princess and HRH now. The difference was that Edward and Sophie chose not to style them as HRH and Prince and Princess, but they are entitled to be now. What's expected is that they will decide for themselves when they reach 18. Sophie said, I think about a year ago now, that she's raising them with the expectation that they will have to work, that they will have to go out, get jobs, earn their own money. And Sophie sees the fact that they can do that with having no titles, no official, of course, you know, she's still Lady Louise, he's still Viscount Severn, but no royal titles, no HRH from birth, although they are entitled to it. So I suppose James Viscount Severn, who will inherit Edward's titles, and Lady Louise will make their own minds up when they reach 18, but it will be their choice. It will be their decision. Thank you, Fran, who has donated $4.99, who says, thank you. I really love watching you and the fair information you share. You are more than welcome. Lady Buckingham says, as a Canadian, I would like to know who they polled in Canada. Ooh, I think I've missed the bit of which they were polling. H.M. the King says, Irene. Yes, apparently Irene Windsor. That's what she was claiming to be known as. I think I've found it. Sanju says, I heard the majority of Canadians want to be a republic from the monarchy after the Queen dies, according to a poll conducted by the Canadian government. I haven't seen that poll. I haven't heard about it, so I cannot talk about its legitimacy, or even if it is true. James Medford says, with no security, better to not have an HRH. Yes, because having an HRH does not automatically bring you protection. We've learnt that from when Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie lost their royal protection, even though they still have their HRH and are still princesses of the United Kingdom. So just because you're a princess or a prince and with an HRH is not an automatic right to having protection, which is, you know, kind of weird that Meghan and Harry got that so confused when they spoke about it in the Oprah interview, because they've seen, I mean, Prince Harry has seen the fact that his cousins, Beatrice and Eugenie, lost royal protection, even though they had the HRH and the princess's status. So the mind boggles as to why he continued to think that just having a princely status and an HRH would automatically bring you that protection. Gone are those days. Absolutely gone are those days. Sue says, I am new here. Hello and welcome. I'm curious what started your interest in the royal family. I've just always been interested in the royal family and monarchy and history and royal history. Also interested in the ancient Egypt and just history in general. And why I started the YouTube channel, it's as simple as I was bored one night and I just made a video and it just kind of went from there. So there you go. That's kind of why. Right, I am going to go now. So thank you. I think I've covered all the stories that have been out there today. So if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to share on social media, and of course hit the bell so that you know whenever I come on and do a surprise pop-up video. So from me in Shropshire, mwah to you all and goodbye.